Today is my wedding with John. The venue is decorated as dreamily as Monet's garden. Exactly as I've dreamed since childhood, the makeup and styling were done by a top-tier stylist. And I woke up early to get ready. Why Mom and John's parents were beaming at the guests. Full of joy, I gazed at the radiant face of the bride in the mirror. But my heart was unusually calm, all because of the other main character today. John. He had been distracted since morning, constantly checking his phone, like now. He frowned slightly while typing, hesitating and deleting words. As if unable to decide whether to send it, I masked my emotions and opened my mouth. John, is your company going bankrupt? The man froze, turned off the screen, and tucked away his phone. Though his movements betrayed a hint of panic, he looked up with a smile. Emily, you shouldn't joke like that on our wedding day. I snorted coldly and didn't respond. John strode over behind me, bending down to look at the newlyweds in the mirror. Emily, you look beautiful today. I glanced at him. Not as beautiful as your phone. His smile faltered, and he soothed softly. That's my fault. Emily, don't be angry. I'll turn it off and hand it over to you. John is handsome, tall, and comes from a good family. So over the years, women have always pursued him, but everyone knows he only has one person in his heart, me. Emily, I used to think that too, not to mention our families have been neighbors forever. And his mother and my mom are close friends. John and I have known each other for 10 years. He's always protected me, rarely letting me suffer any hardship. Even my mom says John spoiled me into being delicate. Such a perfect pair was bound to get married. But just before the wedding, John started acting strangely, like taking calls late at night away from me. A necklace that wasn't mine falling in his car. Laughing out loud while texting someone on WeChat. And often mentioning a clumsy assistant. John said he'd hand over his phone for me to keep, but I glanced at the phone he placed on the tablet was his backup device. The wedding was about to start. John had already gone outside to prepare. As I walked in holding my dress, he stood on the stage reaching out to me. His eyes filled with tenderness. Just then, his phone rang from his pocket. The guests exchanged uneasy looks, and even the MC couldn't help stealing glances at him. John awkwardly hung up, but the caller immediately dialed again. Determined not to give up until he answered, John's mom tried to take the phone to help him out. He gently avoided her, apologizing, then turned away to answer it. I lowered my eyes, wondering how much longer my patience would last, but whatever the caller said, John's expression changed drastically, and he sprinted off the spot. Everyone was stunned, turning their gazes to me. Under the floral arch I remained expressionless, calmly scanning the room. Didn't miss the worry on my mom's face or the tall figure in a gray suit among the guests. Michael had deep, intense eyes and a stern face, standing out in the crowd with an air of nobility. I snatched a Polaroid camera from the maid of honor, snapped a shot of his handsome face, and slapped it onto the life-sized cutout of our wedding photo, completely covering John's face. Turning back to Michael, I asked, "Want to get married?" Michael walked over slowly, his eyes darkening. "Yes." "Just a moment," he said, pulling out his phone to call his assistant. "Get me a pair of wedding rings in 20 minutes. He glanced at my hand. Size 11. I unconsciously gripped my dress, saw it so accurately. After the ring was delivered, the wedding proceeded as scheduled. The surprise in the audience's eyes was about to overflow. Yet they still forced smiles of blessing on their faces, found it amusing and couldn't help but curl the corners of my lips. Then, I looked up and carefully examined the man in front of me. "What's your name?" His thin lips moved slightly. "Michael Brown." The original plan with John was to have the wedding in the morning and get the marriage certificate in the afternoon. Now, it was perfect. Saving that step directly, I lowered my head and opened the newly added friend on my phone. The profile picture was a moon in the night sky. My mother sat on the sofa, sighing repeatedly, trying to catch my attention. "Emily." John left the wedding on the spot, even if it was wrong? What if there really was something urgent? You can talk to him properly later. How could you just call someone to replace the wedding randomly? I raised my hand to type a note. Marriage partner. And replied casually. Not randomly. He's the most handsome in the whole place. My mother recalled for a moment. Led astray by me. Indeed he is. Then she immediately came back to her senses, widened her eyes, and said, Emily, is that the point? You need to explain to him clearly and have a good talk with John. I flipped through the photos in the album with John, clicking to delete them one by one. Mom. Do I look like a sucker to you? Even if his company got into big trouble. He should have left a word, this is a wedding. My mother fell silent after hearing that even on a date. Silently abandoning your partner is outrageous. Let alone at a wedding. As Mr. and Mrs. Wilson's calls were about to blow up the phone. John didn't answer a single one. And no one knew what earth-shattering thing it was. I met John when I was 14 years old. At that time. My parents were divorced. My mother took me and moved to this villa area. And next door to our house was the Wilson family. We glanced at each other from afar on the lawn in the yard. Without much interaction, the real connection started when I transferred to a new school and was stopped by delinquents demanding protection money, already suppressing anger due to my parents' divorce. They happened to bump into me. And I naturally wouldn't let go of this chance to vent, just as I was about to throw my backpack and stretch my muscles. A tall figure blocked in front of me. What kind of courage is it to bully a little girl? Have the guts to come at me. Teenage girls. More or less. Have a bit of hero worship, although John wasn't great at fighting. He tried hard to protect me. At least I wasn't hurt in the slightest. At that time. The figure of young John reflected in my eyes. His eyes under the sunlight. Sincere and bright. It made my heart flutter that day. I helped the limping John home. From then on, we gradually became closer. John was truly an extremely considerate and gentle person. Every morning, he would tuck a bottle of warm milk in his arms and place it on my desk after arriving at school, although I had already drunk milk at home in the morning, when I rested my head on the desk to nap. He would cover me with his school uniform to block the light, although it woke me up suffocated every time I went out. No matter how busy he was. He would drive me there and back. Although my family had a driver, this trip down memory lane made me even more depressed, looking at it from another angle. At least he did everything quite thoughtfully. Mrs. Wilson treated me like her own daughter, often inviting me to the Wilson family for meals from time to time. She would send over new season clothes and bags to the house. Plus, John's face was indeed quite attractive, making me proud to take him out. After high school graduation, we naturally got together. Friends often teased, saying that if we broke up, they wouldn't believe in love anymore. Back then, John and I intertwined our fingers. His eyes filled with deep affection. Emily and I won't break up. I end this lifetime. I'll only love her. We'll get married after college graduation. Who would have thought that at the last moment? He ran away. John left the wedding, vanishing without a trace. My mom and the Wilsons eagerly awaited his return for an explanation. As for me, early the next morning, I went to the apartment John and I shared to move my things out. After packing up my clothes, I looked around everywhere, bore traces of my careful decoration, along with various handmade ornaments and decorations. The more I saw, the angrier I got. I bought a large trash bag from next door, stuffed everything inside, and tossed it into the bin downstairs. My phone dinged twice, and Michael sent a message. I'm free later. Is it convenient to go get the marriage certificate? From this message, I could almost picture the elite professional sitting in his office, face stiff, repeatedly editing the words before sending it, then pretending nothing was wrong yet still glancing at the screen every now and then, just like yesterday after the wedding ended, when he told me expressionlessly that there was a meeting at the company, turned and walked away stiffly. His assistant made an excuse for him. It's Michael's first marriage. He's a bit nervous, I replied with a half smile. Well, it's my second marriage. Before meeting Michael, I never thought I was someone who cared so much about looks. After meeting him, I actually had no resistance to marrying a man I'd only met once. It goes without saying how attractive his face was. Just as I was pondering this, Michael sent another message. Emily, you wouldn't say yesterday's wedding doesn't count, would you? I'm not a casual man. Since we held the wedding, I hope Emily can give me the recognition, rather than making me inexplicably become a divorced man. That was really interesting. Michael was a fascinating person, replied with a smile. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in half an hour. As soon as I stepped into the bureau, I spotted a striking figure in the waiting area. He had broad shoulders, and his well-tailored suit made him look elegant and noble, radiating a natural successful person aura. I glanced down at myself wearing a hoodie and jeans for the convenience of moving and thought, whatever. I call this approachable, Michael. I greeted him as I walked over. He raised his head and nodded. Emily. Very polite, making us seem like a forced match. Not sweet and not close. I was about to find some topics to get familiar when my phone rang. I pulled it out and saw me eyebrows rise. It was John. So he wasn't dead, Emily. I'm sorry. Yesterday really had a reason. A matter of life and death forced me to leave. I rubbed the diamond ring on my ring finger with my thumb. How come I didn't know when you became a doctor? Doctors even have holidays. And you're busy saving lives during your wedding. John was choked by my words. Emily, don't be temperamental. I really went to save someone. Where are you now? I'll come find you to explain clearly. I turned to look at Michael beside me. He met my gaze for a moment, then calmly looked away. I chuckled silently. Getting married? A sigh came from the other end of the phone, the tone turning annoyed. Emily, can you stop making a fuss? I shouldn't have left directly on the wedding day. But you only lost face over. There is a living human life, which is more important. You should grow up a bit. I can't always treat you like a child. At first listen, it sounded reasonable. But after he said all that, what kind of person had to make him, John, abandon everyone on his wedding day and go to save without a word? Think about his little assistant. He often mentions, isn't this obvious? So I wasn't interested. Without any emotion, I said, oh, asshole. I hung up the phone neatly and went with Michael to register for marriage. Everyone got a red booklet. Michael stood in front of the car. Have a meeting this afternoon. You can have Assistant Chin take you to buy some things you need. Then, wait for me at home. When he said home, he paused slightly, his tone inexplicably tender. I roughly understood. He probably meant his home. After saying that, he smoothly took out a black card and placed it in my palm. Emily, see you tonight. No wonder Michael is a clever man. Before getting the marriage certificate, he still called me Miss Johnson. But after, it naturally became Emily. But surprisingly, I didn't mind. So I pocketed the card and replied, see you tonight. The man drove away, and Assistant Chen and I were left staring at each other. He seemed to want to help his boss. Michael hasn't been this happy in a long time, and it's his first time pursuing someone. In him, I saw the familiar CEO romance trope. So I couldn't help but ask, isn't that the butler's line? He looked surprised, his tone delighted. Madam, you watch it too. I averted my gaze. I know a little about it. Assistant Chen took me to the mall in the city center. His mouth kept chattering non-stop. The implication was that this was also under their Tianhui group. And their boss Michael was very wealthy. And incidentally bad-mouthed John, although our CEO has many businesses and is busy with work. He still has time to get married and have meals with his wife. I put down the bag in my hand and was about to respond when a well-dressed figure rushed over from not far away. She said in a drawn-out voice, oh, isn't this my sister? After being dumped by John, you've replaced him so quickly. She looked Assistant Chen up and down disdainfully. Snorted. He doesn't look like much. The news sure spreads fast, hearing her sarcastic tone. I didn't even look up and said directly, "Sorry. My mother only gave birth to me. And I don't make sisters with illegitimate daughters." She got angry. Still not letting up in a relationship. The one not loved is the mistress, your mother was. And you are too. Me too. I seized the key point and looked at her properly, dressed glamorously. Her face full of resentful sarcasm. And a familiar necklace around her neck. I immediately remembered it was exactly the same style as the one in John's car, seeing my gaze fall on her collarbone. She proudly puffed out her chest, "Emily. Your mother was driven out like a stray dog back then. And you can't beat me either." So that's how it was. I thought John was tired of heiresses and wanted a change of pace. Liking clumsy, innocent girls, turns out he's blind. Falling for such a stupid and wicked woman, from the conversation. I could guess a bit. The woman in front of me was named Sophia. My half-sister. She's the child of my father, who couldn't control himself, and his mistress, only 5 months younger than me, after my mother found out. She divorced decisively and moved out with me. Sophia and her mother moved into the Johnson family in a victorious manner. Overjoyed, and now she followed in her mother's footsteps, becoming a little assistant at John's company. And seduced John. I've never been one with a good temper. I can't stand seeing villains succeed. Stopped 2 passing college students. "Girls, is your ice cream cone matcha flavored?" The 2 girls paused. "Yes. We bought it over there." I gave them an apologetic smile. Reached out and snatched it, with lightning speed. I smeared it on Sophia's head and clothes. "I am borrowing it. Green tea is quite fitting for a mistress." Sweet, sticky ice cream stuck to Sophia's head, melted. It dripped down her hair onto her face. And she screamed in anger, "Do you have any manners? Security. Get this lunatic out of here." I shrugged and spread my hands. "Sorry. My manners aren't open to mistresses." Then she turned to the 2 college students who were eager to watch the drama and said, "Let's go. I'll treat you to ice cream cones. By the way, Assistant Chen, I'll leave the rest to you to handle." Assistant Chen displayed exceptional professionalism, donning a calm smile as he summoned the mall management and security guards. "This Sophia has poor morals and offended Emily. From now on, all Tianhui establishments will not welcome her." Sophia's face flushed crimson with rage, and she was forcibly escorted out in a fury. The more she ranted and raved, the more onlookers she drew. The crowd inquired and learned that a mistress had been causing a scene inside and was kicked out. Someone snapped a photo and posted it online with the caption, "First time seeing a mall that bans mistresses. Tianhui is awesome." Below, someone commented, "A moral beacon next time. Ban the jerks too." This incident actually boosted Tianyu's popularity among the public that afternoon. My mom informed me that John had arrived at our place with his parents, waiting for me. They claimed they wanted to give a proper explanation. I thought to myself, could he really spin this into something miraculous? But unable to resist my mom's persistent urging, I asked Assistant Chin to drive me back. John was sitting in our living room, anxiously awaiting my return, and rushed over as soon as I entered. "Emily, you're finally back," he said. I sat down beside my mom, straightening my posture. "Go ahead," I replied, seeing that I was willing to listen. He thought there might be a chance for reconciliation and quickly snapped out of his earlier dejection. Mr. Wilson cleared his throat. "John has explained everything to us. Was genuinely trying to save someone in a hurry. And we've scolded him at home. You two should talk this out properly." I stayed silent, and John felt it was his turn to speak. Stepping forward, "Emily, it's that assistant from my company, Sophia. I don't know when she developed feelings for me, but on our wedding day, she kept bombarding me with messages confessing her love. I didn't want to engage, but she sent a photo from the rooftop and threatened to jump if I didn't come." John spoke earnestly, blaming it on an admirer using suicide as leverage. But if every rejected suitor resorted to such tactics, he'd be tied up dealing with them forever. Would he ever get married? I found it amusing. So you vanished all day yesterday to be with your admirer. John knew his actions were inappropriate and waved his hands dismissively. Nothing happened between us. I only stayed because she was emotionally unstable and suicidal. As soon as she calmed down, I came straight to you. Didn't I? Her state must have been fine, since she managed to go shopping and mock people. John studied my expression, relieved that I didn't seem angry. Oh, Emily, now that we've cleared the air, let's reschedule our wedding. I smiled faintly. We've cleared the air, but I don't think a wedding is necessary, after all. With your overwhelming charm, John, who knows when another admirer might threaten to jump into the ocean next. My jab made John turn pale, his tone darkening. Emily, stop messing around. I glanced at the composed Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, who subtly showed disapproval at my words, unfazed. I laid it out plainly. I saw your assistant at the mall today, Sophia. That's her name. Right. She flaunted in front of me, saying that in love, the one not loved is the real mistress. You can stir up this much trouble before we're even married. Imagine how disgusting it would be after hearing the name Sophia. My mom's face darkened, and she snapped. This engagement is off. No more discussions. Mr. and Mrs. Wilson, please leave. The Wilson family didn't understand why my mom suddenly turned hostile but couldn't swallow their pride. Leaving in displeasure, John even scowled menacingly. Our family has looked after you all these years. Emily, don't regret this. I rolled my eyes. Was he truly clueless or just brainless? As business people, who would help a neighbor's widow and child without some gain? No merchant acts without profit. After seeing them off, my mom looked guilty. Our generation's feud has hurt you. I patted her shoulder reassuringly. Mom, don't overthink it. Sophia is just like her mother. Besides, even if someone throws themselves at him, if John bites, he's no good either. Then I casually pulled a red booklet from my pocket. Got married this morning to the guy from yesterday's wedding. With that, I quickly slipped away before my protective mom could lecture me for hours. When I took a cab to the restaurant Michael had reserved, he was already there, seated formally, and handed me a document with solemnity. I assumed it was a prenuptial agreement and accepted it seriously. Flipping it open, my eyes widened, and I looked up at him again, asking uncertainly, your personal info? He nodded slightly. Assistant Chen said that spouses need to understand each other. I lowered my head and thought to myself, why didn't he mention needing to understand when he was pushing me to get married? Looking back at the document in my hand, my gaze fell on the age column. You're only 26. With that simple reply, I somehow heard a hint of grievance in IT. IT really wasn't my fault. Who would have thought that a well-dressed successful person was only 2 years older than me? Michael saw that I didn't respond and added, I'm still young, not old. I looked up and scanned him inquisitively. The man's expression remained as calm as ever. His eyes flickered slightly, and he whispered, it's too late to not accept it now. We're already married. A strong sense of incongruity washed over me. This person didn't seem to match his outward image. Before I could speak, he earnestly listed his advantages. I have more money than the Wilson family, and I can spend it all on you, and I've never been in a relationship before. So there won't be any messy women popping up to bother you. After saying that, he quickly took out a large diamond ring from his pocket and glanced furtively at my ring finger. The one Assistant Chen bought is too small. Wear this one. I suddenly smiled brightly. Okay. And I spent some time bonding with Michael, again met John at the Brown family banquet, bumped into John and Sophia at the entrance. Sophia's hand was still on his arm. John immediately blocked my way. Emily, what are you doing here? Today is the birthday celebration of the Brown family patriarch. You can't cause trouble. If there's anything, wait until I get back to handle it. I was full of question marks. suppressing the urge to roll my eyes, and tried to stay calm. I'm here to attend the banquet. Please move aside. The man in front of me suddenly looked disappointed. Emily. Sophia has told me everything. You're the illegitimate daughter of the Johnson family. No wonder you never talked to me about your father. I won't marry you. You'd better leave quickly. Making a scene in public won't do either of us any good. Although he was speaking, I almost didn't understand what he was saying. I looked puzzledly at Sophia, then at John, and laughed angrily. She said I'm an illegitimate daughter. John took my reaction as embarrassment from being exposed. Anyone with eyes can see that you and your mother live in a villa for no reason. Mr. Lin is surprisingly generous to his mistress, he said earnestly. Sophia, as the legitimate heiress of the Johnson family, knows to find a job and build her skills. As an illegitimate daughter, you just idle around and enjoy life every day, Emily. Out of our years of friendship, I'll remind you, the wife Mr. Brown just married hates mistresses the most. She won't even let them into the mall before anyone finds out you're an illegitimate daughter. Leave quickly. I chuckled after hearing that and looked playfully at Sophia. It seemed she hadn't told John everything about the mall incident. Sophia was flustered by my gaze but tried to stay calm. Sister, don't think that just because you hooked up with Michael's secretary, you can come and go as you please in such high-end places. I smiled. You're right. They both breathed a sigh of relief, one thinking he had persuaded me, the other thinking she had guessed my relationship with Assistant Chin. John put on a smug expression. You should leave. Before he could finish, Michael walked over and put his arm around my waist, saying gently, Why aren't you going in yet? Looking at John's frozen face, I feigned innocence. I was blocked by a dog. Michael frowned slightly, looking at John as if thinking, Are you from the Wilson family? The man turned to me with tender eyes. Introducing, This is my wife. Ignoring John's shattered expression, I tilted my head at Sophia and raised an eyebrow. I don't like mistresses or illegitimate daughters. Get lost now. Sophia's face instantly turned pale. John, not knowing the inside story, tried to speak up for her. Emily, don't target Sophia. It's not what you think between us. I slowly turned my gaze to him. Oh, the dog too. Get lost. He was furious and could only pin his hopes on Michael, but Michael just walked away with me and casually said, In the future, don't invite these two to Brown family banquets. To be honest, the feeling of leveraging influence is really good. Gave him an appreciative look. Michael's ears turned red. Grandpa is waiting for us. Your grandpa is here too. The Brown family patriarch and my grandpa have known each other for decades. They caused each other a lot of trouble in business. After retirement, the two old men became harmonious instead, often inviting each other for fishing and chess. At the wedding, Michael came to deliver a gift on behalf of his grandfather. As soon as my grandpa saw me, he happily said, I told you Grandpa Brown's grandson is good when I wanted to introduce him to you. You refused stubbornly and insisted on chasing after that Wilson family boy. Grandpa Brown gave Michael's shoulder a firm pat. You're the real deal, kid. Went to a wedding and came back with the bride. He turned to me, his face crinkling with a warm smile. This must be Emily, even prettier than when you were little. He added casually, I still have 5% of Skirich Holdings. I'll have the contract drafted tomorrow. Come by to sign it. His words left me utterly flustered, and I instinctively shot Michael a pleading look. Amusement flickered in Michael's eyes. Grandpa's giving it. You should accept it. My own grandfather huffed, clearly displeased. Who needs your measly shares? My Emily is going to inherit my company. I pretended not to hear him. Ever since I graduated college, had been hounding me relentlessly to take over the family business. Utterly exasperated, I'd resorted to pursuing a master's degree just to buy some time. What else could I do? He only had my mother. his daughter, after this incident. John tentatively reached out to me again. His words were laced with insinuation that I'd abandoned him to climb the social ladder. That I was a gold digger. That I was shallow, but he claimed he still cared for me for old time's sake and hoped I was doing well. He mentioned he'd be getting engaged to Sophia soon, suggesting it was time for both of us to move on. Listening to him, I felt a wave of disgust at my own past blindness. After stewing on it, I decided I couldn't just swallow this insult. I arranged to meet him. John's first words to me were, "Emily, I know your heart is still with me, but your current position, it's really not appropriate." He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "Don't worry. I won't mention this to Mr. Brown." I kept my eyes fixed on my coffee cup, mentally counting down, seeing me look down. A flicker of what might have been pity crossed his face. And he sighed. "You know Sophia's background. She's the heiress to the Davis fortune. Marrying her means a powerful alliance. A significant boost for the Wilson family business." He paused, then added with astonishing audacity, "If you hadn't married Michael, I could have kept you cared for privately." The sheer nerve of it. He was planning to cheat before even getting married. And he expected me to be his mistress. My timer went off. I picked up my coffee and flung it straight into his face. As he yelped and jumped up, I followed through with my fist. John was all show and no substance, flailing and trying to dodge my punches while whimpering for help. Too bad for him. This cafe was mine, and I'd cleared it out specifically for this purpose. He could scream himself hoarse. He was getting this beating today. "Emily, have you lost your mind?" he shrieked, trying to shield his face. "And no matter how obsessed you are with me, it won't change anything. Let go. Or do you want me to tell Michael about your real background?" I let out a cold laugh, my punches landing harder. "Save your breath, John." Instead of barking at me, "Why don't you go dig into Sophia's background?" I punctuated my next words with another solid hit. "And do me a favor, ask her to ask Lin Jiming who he really works for." Lin Jiming was my father. And Sophia's too. Sophia and her mother had always smugly believed their victory was complete, secure in their titles as Mrs. Lin and Miss Lin. Little did they know that while the company bore the Lin name, the real owner was my mother. Lin Jiming had started the company with my mother's money, and she held 60% of the shares. When they divorced, he, as the guilty party, had to surrender most of his remaining shares to her. So called Mr. Lin was, to put it bluntly, just a glorified employee. Lin Jiming, convinced Sophia's mother was his true love, had never bothered to tell them this. John and Sophia were still happily dreaming of their grand, wealthy alliance. I left John bruised and battered, massaging my knuckles as I walked out. Michael was waiting by the car, craning his neck discreetly to get a look at John's sorry state. He opened the car door for me, shielding me as I got in, then remarked with studied nonchalance, "I'm not as foolish as he is. If you ever feel the need to hit me, please go easy with anyone else." It might have been a joke, but meeting Michael's earnest gaze, I mentally rolled my eyes. I am not a violent maniac outwardly. I just gave a light laugh and patted his hand reassuringly. "That depends on your behavior." Didn't pay much attention to how things unfolded between Sophia and John afterward. However, my mother did message me. She said Mr. and Mrs. Wilson had shown up at her place with John in tow, apologizing profusely. Of course, it wasn't out of any sudden pang of conscience or realization of their wrongdoing. It was because Grandpa had pulled his investment. It was at this time that John also learned the reason why his parents had repeatedly taken care of our mother and had been trying to set us up their family company, had received plenty of help from our grandfather over the years. With the sudden withdrawal of funding, plus Tianue announcing that from now on they would not cooperate with the Wilson family. The Wilson family was on the verge of collapse for a while. His family came bearing gifts to play the emotional card. But unfortunately, My mother didn't buy it. It was all because John and Sophia getting involved together had stepped on my mother's pet peeve. John didn't take it seriously, believing that even with the funding withdrawal, as long as he married Sophia, the Johnson family would definitely help his family. This angered his father so much that he slapped him on the spot. Do you even know who the real power behind the Johnson family is? From his father. John learned that my mother was actually Lynn Zyming's first wife and also the daughter of the top-tier wealthy Wynn family, and that she held the real power in the Johnson family. Upon hearing the truth, John was stunned and immediately ran off to confront Sophia, even though she was now legitimized. She couldn't erase her past as an illegitimate daughter. Sophia had to admit her background when asked who really called the shots in the Johnson family. She was also confused, having been a Johnson heiress for 10 years, suddenly learning that her father was just working for his ex-wife. She didn't even bother with the man and hurried home to discuss countermeasures with her mother. She probably found out the truth from Lynn Zyming's mouth. Sophia, filled with grief and anger, called me. Are you satisfied now? I only ruined your wedding. But you're trying to ruin me to this extent. I was once again stunned by her logic. Are you out of your mind? I haven't even started messing with you yet. You're just facing reality. She let out a sharp scream, cutting me off. Ah. John doesn't love you at all. If he can be taken away by someone else, he was never yours. He admitted himself that he only has brotherly feelings for you, no matter how much you suppress the Wilson family. He won't be with you. I took a deep breath. Yeah. Whatever, hope you and that scumbag rot together forever. There was a long silence on the other end, as if she realized her tantrum tactics weren't working. So she changed her tone. Sister, I beg you, please let John go and let us be together. Just like your mother let my father and my mother be together back then. I glanced at Michael beside me and swallowed the curse on my lips. Michael, however, directly snatched the phone and berated her fiercely before promptly blocking her, was shocked by his vocabulary and marveled that he really wasn't your typical domineering CEO. The man casually played with my hair and asked, "Do you need my help?" I shook my head. Such a small matter didn't require his intervention. I'd just have my mother put pressure on Lynn Zyming another day to get him to rein in Sophia. But before I could ask my mother for help, John sought me out. He blocked me at my school gate. Looking much more haggard than the last time we met, Sophia and I broke up, he said. I gave an indifferent "oh" and tried to walk around him, stepped forward to block my path and opened the trunk of his car, revealing a car full of roses. Kneeling on one knee, he said, "Emily, give me another chance. I promise to make it up to you with a perfect wedding this time." Watching the students gathering around to watch, I sidestepped away, frowning deeply. Are you crazy? I'm married, Emily. I know you don't love him. You're only with him to spite me. I truly know I was wrong. I was blind and fell for Sophia's trap. She infiltrated my company just to steal me away and hurt you. Shouldn't have believed her lies and misunderstood you. With tears in his eyes, he said affectionately, "After you left, I realized I can't live without you. Sophia was just a fleeting distraction. I love you." The disgust radiating from me was almost palpable. He couldn't possibly think his confession was touching. Could he? John, from the moment you abandoned me at our wedding, we were over. All this talk about realizing I'm your true love after breaking up is just you discovering my background and realizing how much of your success was built on my family. Honestly, since distancing myself from you, I've realized that being with you before was just habit. I am very satisfied with my current partner and I really like him. Hope you don't bother me again, or the Wilson family's situation will get worse than it is now. After making things clear, John didn't harass me again. Whether he finally gave up or was afraid his family company wouldn't survive, but barely 2 days of peace later, the video of John proposing to me at the school gate went viral. It turned out Sophia was live streaming with a prenatal check report, crying that I had interfered with their relationship. She even released many photos secretly taken of John and me meeting. Uninformed netizens truly thought they had juicy gossip and took to their keyboards to voice opinions. Someone even dug up my school, hurled insults on the school's official website, and demanded that someone like me with improper conduct be expelled. Asked around and found out it was because John didn't intend to marry her. She used the child to threaten the Wilson family and was kicked out. His mother was furious at the sight of her. They had planned for 10 years for their son to marry the granddaughter of a big shot. But it was ruined by a sudden illegitimate daughter. Although the Wilson family was on the decline, it was still better off than Lin Jiming, who worked for his ex-wife, Sophia. Seeing no hope of marrying into a wealthy family, thought of using public opinion, although she was stupid. Her constant prancing around was really annoying. Directly released our call records and a video of her mocking me being kicked out in the mall. It. You could clearly hear her interfering in others' relationships. Not ashamed, but instead saying that the one not loved is the other woman, including the surveillance footage John unlocked at my home. On our wedding day, Sophia threatened suicide to stop the wedding. Tianyue quickly issued a cease and desist letter regarding the rumors online about our group's CEO's wife, Mrs. Johnson. They would be pursued one by one. My grandfather's company also released a statement. Who is it? Who is smearing our next CEO? The internet erupted in an uproar. Hashtags like Emily Johnson's background. Who stole my wealthy heir life? And Tianyue's CEO trended on social media. Netizens also dug up Sophia's biological mother's history of being a gold digger to climb up. She had been with many tycoons back then and finally tricked my father, thus succeeding in the ascent. Lin Jiming, who had always thought it was true love, turned out to be a professional gold digger. He was so angry that he filed for divorce on the spot, even abandoning Sophia as his daughter because of John's player antics. The Wilson family's stocks plummeted, already strained by my grandfather's withdrawal of investment. This time it was beyond saving. Sophia and her mother lost their backing and were kicked out of the house. As for me, I lay leisurely in Michael's arms, watching him with his domineering boss look, researching online how to be a top-notch husband.